What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. I've mentioned on the YouTube channel in the past, guys, that I'm not very good at flight simulated games. However, one of those that is going to be coming out here later this year is Star Wars Squadrons. And what I'll say, guys, is that this has really intrigued me to get back into the flight simulated types of games, even though I'm not very good at them. It kind of gets me to want to actually get good at playing a game, that is based as a, flight simulated game. And so with that, guys, I wanted to talk more about Star Wars Squadrons. We've gotten some questions here on the YouTube channel about it. And so what I thought I would do in this first segment of the show is talk about everything that we know so far about Star Wars Squadrons. So let's get into it. In an article, guys, that was written by Andrew Reiner of Game Informer during today's EA Play live stream, publisher Electronic Arts and developer Motive Studios pulled back the curtain on Star Wars Squadrons, an exciting new experience set in a galaxy far, far away. So what is it, guys? So Star Wars Squadron is a space combat game that delivers a single-player campaign and various multiplayer modes. Outside of seeing your character in cutscenes and in lobbies, you will never leave the cockpit once combat commences. It's all about dogfighting and living the Star Wars spaceship fantasy, which is awesome. And what I will say about that, guys, is notice how it says single-player campaign as well as various multiplayer modes. So basically, guys, this is going to be a full package, which is something that we did not get with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I thought was really unfortunate because, man, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, in my opinion, was great, and I would have loved to play it in multiplayer format because all we really have up to this point is Star Wars Battlefront, and I'd like to see, Respawn kind of take the helm with making a multiplayer sequence outside of, like, Apex Legends and such, so I think that would have been really cool. But nonetheless, we're getting multiplayer modes here. We're also getting a single-player experience, which I think is great for those of you who don't like multiplayer. It's a full package, so you'll be able to, whether you're buying it, whether to play single-player, multiplayer, or both, it's going to be something there for all of us. When is it coming out, guys? It comes out October 2nd on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Now, what Star Wars era is it set in? The second Death Star has been destroyed, the Battle of Endor is over, and the galaxy is now looking for order. The game is set between the original and sequel trilogy, yet retains the classic aesthetic for ship and troop designs. What are the multiplayer modes? So if players just want to battle it out for kills, Dogfight mode is the avenue of play the one embrace. The Dogfight mode is a 5v5 battle with respawns, weapon loadouts, and is determined by kill count. Star Wars Squadron's signature mode is called Fleet Battles. Designed as multi-stage conflicts, Fleet Battles begins in a social hub that is used to devise strategies. Once you figure out what your team wants to do and launch from the hangar, you are tasked to push a front line toward the enemy side. Depending on which way the line is moving, you must attack or defend two medium-sized capital ships. If you succeed on the offensive side, the final goal is to take out a flagship like a Star Destroyer, beginning with its subsystem, shield generators, power system, and targeting system. And then when the flagship falls, a victor is crowned. So what I'll say, guys, is, okay, so we've got dogfight as well as, these fleet battles, which is the signature mode, which, look, at the end of the day, even if it's just those two modes, that seems pretty exciting. Now, I'm sure there's maybe more modes outside of just those two, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be pretty cool. The fleet battles, if you don't want to do that, you can do the dogfight mode, which sounds like it might be a little more fast-paced and such. So I think that either way, whether you want to play long, drawn-out battles or you want to do something a little bit more fast-paced, you'll be able to do either one of those with this game. Now, can you play fleet battles single player? Yes, if you want to go at it alone or with just a friend or two at your side, you can battle against AI opponents. And so that's really great as well, guys, especially for someone like myself who isn't very good at playing flight simulated games. I haven't been good. Even when we're talking about Grand Theft Auto, we talk about Far Cry or Battlefield, these games that have sequences in them that where you're flying around, I'm just not very good at it. I'm not very good at that. I'm a lot better at playing something that's more grounded, that you're actually, running around, whether it's first person, third person shooters, whatever it might be. Just not very good at this, but this kind of intrigues me to want to try because you can go up against the AI, which I really like, so you can practice a good amount. I really like that idea. Now, where are the maps set? EA Motive has announced 6 maps. The war will move from the gas giant of Yavin Prime to the shattered moon of Galatyn and over to the icy ring of Esles. You'll also travel to Nadiri, Dockyards, a debris field near Sasubo, and to the Xavian Abyss. All of the maps are set in space, yet there is a chance they grace a planet's atmosphere. And then what is the single-player story about? Little is known about the overall conflict, but the trailer above details one of the Empire's missions. The New Republic is working on a top-secret Starhawk project, and the Empire spies have gotten word of it. Now, what I will say about this, guys, when the single-player story, what's interesting is that it seems like this game is primarily you're set, it's going to be you're flying around, essentially. But there's sequences in the trailer that shows, the pilots outside of, the cockpit. And so what's interesting and what would be interesting to me is if there's sequences where it's not all done in the cockpit. I would assume most of it will be. But it'd be kind of interesting to even get some action where you're not even in the cockpit at all. Like whether, one of the hangars is getting attacked or something along those lines where, by troopers. That would be interesting. And so we don't know, obviously, guys. We're going to have to wait until the final product comes out, or maybe, as we get closer, they'll probably reveal certain things. I would assume, though, most of the game is going to be done behind the cockpit. Who do I play as? So you'll suit up as pilots in both the New Republic and Galactic Empire. These perspectives are used for multiplayer in the single-player campaign. You'll switch between the Republic and Empire from mission to mission in the campaign. For the New Republic, you will be following the pilots of Vanguard Squadron, and for the Empire, your viewpoint is through Titan Squadron. Your co-pilots are characters created by Motive and Lucasfilm, but your viewpoint for both sides will be through characters you get to create, which is awesome. And then, of course, can you switch ships? While it's in your best interest to figure out which ship syncs best with your team's needs in the pre-match lobby, you can always retreat to the hangar mid-battle to change your vessel. And so what is the viewpoint? Unlike most space and aerial combat games, Star Wars Squadron is only playable from the first-person perspective. Which is fine. I mean, I think that was kind of obvious, but at the end of the day, it would have been kind of nice to have the third-person perspective as well, but we'll have to kind of wait and see when the final product comes out, guys. Maybe they'll add certain things along the way. I'm sure we're going to be getting DLC. I'm sure we're going to be getting things added as we go. One of those things might be third-person perspective. Now, which Republic ships can I pilot? The iconic X-Wing is front and center and is part of Star Wars Squadron's fighter class of ship, which just happens to be the most versatile class. The A-Wing falls into the Interceptor class, which are lightning quick and can maneuver through tight spaces. The U-Wing, which debuted in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is a support class delivering plenty of toughness and, according to the trailer, can keep allies safe and stocked up. And then the Y-Wing is, of course, the heavily armored bomber. And then, of course, guys, which Imperial ships can I pilot? The traditional TIE Fighter falls into the fighter class and is balanced similar to the Republic's X-Wing. And then the TIE Interceptor is the Empire's Interceptor class option. The TIE Reaper, which is traditionally used to transport troops, is the Empire's support class choice. And the TIE Bomber is slow but delivers plenty of firepower and fits into the Bomber class, which is pretty awesome. And look, I like the names, guys. I like the different, TIE Fighter, TIE Reaper, Bomber, Interceptor. That's pretty sick. And then, of course, the X-Wing, A-Wing, Y-Wing. And then, can you customize your ship? This is a pretty big one. As you progress through the story of multiplayer ranks, you'll earn all two currency types that can be used to purchase all sorts of cosmetic items for your ship, including exterior paint colors and interior cosmetics, like an Ewok bobblehead that sits next to your displays. Although you can only play the game from the first-person perspective, you can watch the action from the third-person viewpoint when you aren't on the sticks. You can also unlock over 50 loadout components to change how your ship functions in battle. The components alter how your ship flies, fights, and survives. So when it comes to customization, guys, I assume that there's going to be a lot of different customization options here. Now, overall, it would be nice to have that third-person view, so if you could like have different kinds of paints and such on your fighter, it'd be really cool to be able to see that, right? And I think I would actually maybe even do better from a third-person view or perspective. I don't know. Maybe, it's hard to say. I mean, maybe it would be better to do it from the first person. I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see. It would be kind of nice to have that option, though. That's one of my complaints about Star Wars Squadrons up to this point. Now, can you pick your own droid? Sadly, no Star Wars Squadron ship upgrades don't include different droids to pick from, so that's kind of unfortunate as well. What instruments work on the cockpit? All of your heads-up display needs are built into the cockpit. In the center, you'll find a circular screen that serves as the combat display. To its right on a triangular screen is the ship status indicator that tells you how your ships and or shields and hull are holding up. To the left of the combat display are 2 meters that monitor speed, throttle, and power management. And then above these meters is a triangular radar that shows you where all of the objectives and ships are. So, look, as far as, the instruments work, I mean, guys, I think it's going to be, a work in progress that you're just going to have to, probably one of those games that the more time you put into it, the better you'll get it. You'll understand how things work. And I'm sure they're going to have tutorials and things of that nature. Can I use a HOTAS rig? The PC version fully supports joystick use as well as hands-on throttle and stick rigs. Is there crossplay? Yes, you can play with any other players on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, and that's awesome. It's going to be there, guys. We're going to have crossplay. That's going to be really cool. And then can I play in VR? Yes, the PlayStation 4 and PC versions both offer VR support. If you are playing in VR, you can still battle against other players who are not, even through crossplay, which is awesome. Now, one of the last things, guys, that's pretty big here, are there microtransactions? Although you are earning 2 currency types that can be used to purchase goods as you play, you cannot spend real money on any items or to buy more currency. The game also doesn't have a battle pass system, and as of now, Motive Studios isn't looking at Squadrons as a living game. All the playing content is in the game on day 1. So I like the concept, and I love the way it sounds. We're going to kind of have to wait, though, until the final product comes out, and probably even weeks after that, to see if some microtransactions start slipping their way into the game. Which, look, guys, if they add it, they add it. And I think it's kind of one of those things that, most games, AAA titles, are going to have microtransactions. As long as it's not, deceptive to the consumer and it's not a pay-to-win type of, tactic, overall, guys, I understand why they have to do microtransactions. I hope they're not in the game. Hopefully just enough people buy the game and such to justify, them just not even keeping microtransactions in the game or having them in there in the first place. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see, guys. I'm excited about this game, though, nonetheless. Star Wars Squadrons, guys, coming out this year. I'll be sure to give you guys more information as it comes out. Let me know in the comment section below. What are you guys most excited about with Star Wars Squadrons? Let me know. And for more Star Wars Squadrons content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel in the past, guys, about the new Spider-Man that got announced, that being Spider-Man Miles Morales. And what I got to say, guys, is that I'm incredibly intrigued by this story. I think that this is a game that could be a really great follow-up to Marvel's Spider-Man. And I wanted to go ahead and take this segment of the show and talk about the things that we know about the game, and that way we can break it down, give our own opinions, and I would love to hear your opinions about this new Spider-Man and the new take on Spider-Man in the comment section down below. So let's talk about it. So guys, in an article that was written by Josh Coulson of The Gamer, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is the expansion standalone sequel we've all been waiting for. It has been almost 2 weeks since Sony revealed that a new Spider-Man game is coming to PS5 before the end of 2020. Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, even though it has been almost 2 weeks and Insomniac has been scarce when it comes to revealing details, that hasn't stopped fans from talking about it non-stop. So as far as the expansion standalone sequel we've all been waiting for, the main question Spidey fans had following the release of the trailer was what exactly Miles Morales is. Some assumed it was a sequel, but then a Sony VP reported it was an expansion on the first Spider-Man game the following day. Hours later, a spokesperson from Insomniac revealed that wasn't true either. Even though Miles Morales follows on from the first game, it will be a standalone title, so not a sequel or an expansion. So that's kind of the first big thing. A lot of people, I keep calling it Spider-Man 2, guys, because it feels like the continuation from the first game, but it also kind of feels like it is its own thing. So it's not a sequel, it's not an expansion, it's going to be its own standalone title, which I really appreciate. I think this is going to be great to play as Miles, have a new, kind of a fresh take almost on Spider-Man, so I'm excited about it to say the least. It will be set in the same universe with the same characters though. This is the same Morales who is bitten by a spider at the end of Marvel's Spider-Man. We may even get a cameo appearance from Peter Parker, although there has been no official word in regard to that as of yet. And look, at the end of the day, guys, I think that Peter Parker is certainly going to be in this game. I mean, you would have to assume so, just because, like, maybe he's, you know, in it later on in the game or something, or they start working together near the end of the game, which would be really interesting, kind of really set this thing up. Having both of them as playable characters would be interesting. But I think for me, guys, why I want to play as Miles is because I want to learn more about this character. Now, of course, Miles has been in the comics and such. I don't know much about him, though. And that's why we know so much about Peter Parker as of right now and, you know, just throughout the years. But Miles is this, you know, kind of this newer character, at least to me, and I would personally like to learn more and more about him, and that's why I can't wait to take the helm as him playing, you know, the web slinger. Morales is still living in New York City, and his story will take place 1 year after the first game ended, during winter, so expect to see a New York City caked in snow. The game's creative director has even given fans a little insight into what Morales' main story will be about. Morales lives in Harlem, and the borough finds itself at the heart of a battle between an energy corporation and a high-tech criminal army. Although the same blog post reveals that the game will welcome fresh villains, there has been no official word on who those villains will be. So, look, I just want him to surprise me. At the end of the day, when it comes to the villains and such, guys, I just want him to surprise me, and I want there to be similarities to the first game, but also differences. And so, having some of the, you know, similar, you know, enemies and villains from the first game, and then having some different ones, I think would be really appreciated. In terms of the game's length, since it isn't a sequel and will act more as a stopgap between the franchise's two major games, it won't be quite as long and players won't have as much to do. As expected, its creators have confirmed it will be similar in style and length to Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, another game described as being a standalone title. That means it will take players an average of 7 hours to play through the main story and somewhere in the region of 16 to 100% the game. It should also mean the game is slightly cheaper, although since it will be on PS5, there's no knowing what the price might be at this stage. I would say, guys, it's probably going to be the standard price, you know, the $60 price tag most likely, because they know they're going to be able to get that out of people. And look, if you're going to compare Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, I know there's been a lot of people who really liked Lost Legacy. I didn't like it that much. I thought it was good as far as like within the universe, but there was nothing like playing Nathan Drake, and I just didn't think that it was quite as good. But yes, it was, you know, it was basically like a side story or standalone to the Uncharted games. It was my least favorite, so I hope that this, though, Miles Morales in the Spider-Man universe, I hope this actually exceeds my expectations, that being like it even is better than the first Spider-Man game, which might be hard, but I would really like to see that. I think it would be really awesome. I think part of what would make this a pretty positive kind of experience, guys, is if they had more modes than just the single player story. If you had the story, which is, you know, whatever, a 7-hour story or something, and then afterwards, if there's at least side missions and like multiplayer and co-op and things of that nature to keep you coming back, I think that would be really important. It would justify the $60 price tag. It sounds as if the fast travel feature from Marvel's Spider-Man will be transferred over to Miles Morales, but due to faster loading times, this process will be almost instantaneous. Developers have also promised enhanced visuals compared to the first, which again is to be expected since it will be on a next-gen console. Other than the fact that it will be released holiday 2020, probably alongside the release of the PS5, that's all we know about Miles Morales so far. So with that, guys, I think it's important that we break down a couple of things. Obviously, we've made videos on the YouTube channel about Spider-Man Miles Morales on here, and you guys can check out all that content. And we've talked about the things that we want, that being like multiplayer, having, even more side missions and things of that nature. If this is going to be only a single player story or campaign, I think it's really important, guys, that there's a lot to do outside of even just say the 7-hour story. I think it's important that there are side missions, things to keep you coming back, because even justifying the price for a 7-hour story, if it's $60 for it, I just don't know if it's going to be worth it at the end of the day for that. I feel like there needs to be more to do within the world and be able to, play multiplayer. I mean, I think this could do really well as a multiplayer experience. But that's neither here nor there at this point, guys, because we don't know everything that's going to be entailed in this game. We don't even know if it's going to be able to stick to the holiday 2020 release date because of the pandemic going on. We hope so. Fingers crossed, guys, that it sticks to that. But there's a possibility it could get pushed back even further. I hope it doesn't, but we'll have to kind of keep an eye on it, and I'll be sure to keep you guys all up to speed as further information comes out. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys are most excited about the new Spider-Man title, Miles Morales. And for more Spider-Man Miles Morales content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. CD Projekt Red's next upcoming game, guys, is of course Cyberpunk 2077. And look, we got our first real look at gameplay and such, and it looks like there's going to be a series here that they're kind of putting out, the Night City. That they're kind of giving us a little bit of some detail on the game. They're kind of having, like developer interviews and things of that nature. And look, I wanted to talk about, in this segment of the show, about Cyberpunk 2077. We talked about it on the YouTube channel. You guys can check out all of that content here. But what I got to say, guys, is that even though this title looks like it's going to be something incredibly special, what could happen here, and I'm not going to say it's necessarily a bad thing, but Cyberpunk 2077 being created by CD Projekt Red, the same guys who do the Witcher franchise, this game, if it does well enough, could spell the end of The Witcher. And so I want to talk about that, kind of go in depth here. So let's get into it. Guys, we have talked on the, on the YouTube channel in the past a lot about The Witcher and The Witcher 4, the possibility of the continuation here of this franchise. And once again, all of that content you guys can check out on the YouTube channel here. But I gotta say that from watching Cyberpunk, it almost feels like just how amazing it looks. It feels to me that CD Projekt Red is going all in on this. And they're basically saying, this is our future. This is what we want. We want to build something really special here with Cyberpunk moving forward. I mean, they're doing a Netflix series. They're doing all kinds of different things, guys, outside of just the game, which is kind of telling, I think it's telling us something. It's telling us that, hey, maybe they're moving on from The Witcher. Maybe this is their next franchise that they're going to helm for 3 games or 4 games or who knows how long. But I believe that they are taking the approach right now, and I'm not saying that they're going to leave The Witcher and never come back to it. I think that there's a possibility they will, but this could put The Witcher on an indefinite hiatus at this point. I mean, it really could, guys. This could put it somewhere where it's in a limbo state for a number of years, especially because the hype is building around Cyberpunk 2077 every single day. I mean, unlike anything I've seen in a little while. I mean, think about it. I mean, there was a ton of hype around The Last of Us Part 2, and Cyberpunk being a game that's coming out on, not just exclusive to one's console. It's coming out on PlayStation. It's coming out on Xbox. And what I'm saying is, guys, is that this game is going to be coming out on those, on these a bunch of consoles here. And we're talking, it's coming out later this year. It's going to be available on the Xbox Series X as well as the PS5. This is starting to build as probably it's been one of the most anticipated games of the year without a doubt. But I'm feeling that with just what we're seeing of this game, I mean, it looks incredible. You're hearing all kinds of incredibly positive reactions to people out there that have played the game for a few hours. And it's just kind of telling me that, hey, they might be done with The Witcher. They made 3 games, and look, I believe that they're going to come back to The Witcher at some point or another. But after watching what we've seen so far about Cyberpunk 2077, I'm not sure if I believe that The Witcher 4 is going to come out really anytime soon. I've gotten questions, guys, regarding Cyberpunk since we started seeing more information about it, if I felt that The Witcher 4 was going to be delayed for a significant amount of time. Now, CD Projekt Red has stated, for those of you who are big Witcher fans, they've stated that they haven't forgotten, of course, about The Witcher. They're just more focused right here, right now on Cyberpunk 2077. Now, could they greenlight The Witcher 4 and be doing Cyberpunk games? Could they kind of go back and forth? I mean, sure, they could probably do that. It sounds like CD Projekt Red has a pretty big team. However, they would probably have to expand a good amount in order to, do both games at once. And so, I'm just thinking to myself that maybe they're going to just focus on Cyberpunk for the foreseeable future and maybe come back to The Witcher over time. Or they just want to build out Cyberpunk and then they want to go back and forth, kind of like what Rockstar does and some of these other, big companies out there, kind of going from one game to the next, making each game that they bring out like just a really prestigious achievement. And so the other thing with Cyberpunk 2077 is that they're going to be adding multiplayer afterwards. So after the release comes out, you got this campaign, which looks absolutely incredible. And then on top of that, you're going to also have, outside of just the campaign, you're also going to be able to play multiplayer. Now, it won't be at launch, but it'll be, after launch that you'll be able to play the multiplayer. But it's exciting. I think that, with The Witcher 4... Not saying, guys, that it's going to be, on an indefinite hiatus or it's in, going to be somewhere where it's just not going to ever come back, because I do believe The Witcher 4 will come out at some point or another in the future. I just think that if you're a big Witcher fan, you're just going to have to be patient here, because after seeing more on Cyberpunk 2077, this is a game that's going to, kind of... it could be transcended, in a number of different ways within the gaming industry, and it could be CD Projekt Red's biggest title yet. I mean, it really could, guys. Now, that's really saying something. That's a big statement, seeing as how they've done incredibly well with the Witcher franchise. But man, the hype around this game is unlike anything I've seen in a while for like a brand new IP. When you think of a brand new IP, there's a lot of hype around this game right off the bat. And so I'm very excited about it. I know a lot of people are really excited about it as well, to kind of explore more of this world and such. And we'll kind of have to wait and see, guys. But what do you think? Do you think that Cyberpunk 2077 is almost spelling the end of The Witcher as we know it right now, as CD Projekt Red moves in a direction where they're going to try to make this a really big IP for themselves? What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Cyberpunk 2077 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel about Lost Planet, guys. This franchise that has seen 3 editions up to this point, or 3 games up to this point. And we've talked here, and you guys can check out all the Lost Planet content here on the YouTube channel, but we've talked about the future here. So we've talked about the past, the present, and what could be the future of the Lost Planet franchise. And Lost Planet 4 is certainly something that I would like to see. A lot of you out there have expressed that you would like to see as well. And the question, though, lies in, will it happen? And I think that there's certainly a possibility, guys, but typically speaking, with any franchise out there, when you see the end of or an indefinite hiatus or a limbo state of a franchise, typically you've got a couple of reasons why a game would go in that direction. One would be critical reception, 2 would be sales, and I always thought that Lost Planet 3 didn't do as good of a job of the marketing and things of that nature to get people excited for Lost Planet 3 like it did with the first 2 games. And so with that, guys, I wanted to go over the top 5 things that we want out of Lost Planet 4. And when I say we, guys, I'm going to be talking about myself here and my opinions. Some of you may share similar opinions and some of you may not, but I would like to hear your top 5 things that you would like to see in Lost Planet 4 in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So as I said, guys, I felt like the third game was kind of a step in the wrong direction for the franchise. So coming in at number 1 for me, I would like to see a soft reboot of this franchise, similar to that of something like Call of Duty and how Call of Duty went in the direction of Modern Warfare here as their latest game in the franchise. And I would like to see them do something similar to this with Lost Planet, where they do a soft reboot, guys, and with that, you know, kind of I feel like it's important that they change things that they need to, but they also keep some things the same, the core mechanics and things of that nature that the first couple of games really did well. And I think doing that, though, but in a soft reboot format, it would have people maybe would kind of look at that and think to themselves that they would at least want to give it a try. That leads me to number 2, guys, which is personally, I would like to see a semi-open world to a full open world scenario in Lost Planet. I think that there's so much to explore and such here, and I think the more exploration that you can do would be awesome. We've had semi-open world elements to Lost Planet in the past. Having a full open world, though, would be something pretty special, I think. I think that there needs to be, you know, some more variety here with the reboot, that is. I feel that what they need to do is have more places that you're able to explore, more things to do along the journey that is the course of the campaign or whatever it might be that they decide and direction they decide to go in. That leads me to number 3, guys, which is new enemies, new environments, as well as new characters. And so, look, when I say that, the enemies, as well as the other characters and some of the environments in the first few games here, you know, I've liked some of them and I haven't liked some of them. And I think that between Lost Planet 1 and Lost Planet 2, they kind of changed some things. They had some new enemies. They brought in some old ones from the previous game. And I think it's important that they continue that, bringing in things that are familiar to us, having also things that are different. And that goes with the environments, the locations. I think that I felt like there's so much snow, so many snow maps and such with the Lost Planet universe. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think they need to also expand it to other places, more places, more terrain to explore and such. And like I said, having things along the way that you can do along the journey, that being like, you know, other side missions and finding collectibles and things of that nature. That leads me to number 4, guys, which is multiplayer and co-op modes. I think it's really important that there's multiplayer here, there's co-op here, so that after you're done playing the single player story or the co-op story, you have other things that you can do. That being like playing multiplayer. This is a game that's primed for, you know, having multiplayer experience or expanded upon, you know, multiplayer experiences. And I think it's important that we see that moving into Lost Planet 4 here. I think that at the end of the day, when you beat a story mode, a lot of times people will maybe play it a second time. They'll play it on a harder difficulty, look for the collectibles, but then after that, you may move on to another game. Whereas if there's multiplayer in co-op modes, there's more reasons to come back and play the game, and that's what I think needs to happen here with the continuation of Lost Planet 4. And that leads me into number 5, guys, which is free-to-play elements. And so what I'm getting at here is I would love to see the game be a free-to-play experience, or at least have the multiplayer, the co-op modes be free-to-play, similar to games out there that have modes and such that are free to play, where everyone can at least try it out. And I think that's really important, guys, with this franchise, because look, what we can probably agree on is that the first 2 Lost Planet games were doing really good. They were going on this like incline. It was starting to build momentum. And then the third game came out and there was a dip. There was a valley there. So you were peaking and then you go down in a valley. And I think all it takes is one game to hurt a franchise. It takes one game to bring it right back up. And I think Lost Planet 4 could certainly be that for this franchise. And so some of you out there may like Lost Planet 3. The facts are, though, guys, is that, you know, really from a critical reception, from a sales perspective, it just didn't make a lot of sense for them to continue, because of, more so at the end of the day, is really the sales is what kind of might have been the demise of the Lost Planet universe so far. But I believe that they did a soft reboot, guys. They kind of implemented certain things into it, that being like multiplayer where it's like free to play. I think it could do really well, actually, especially on the next-gen hardware, which is, better graphics and things of that nature. I think it could do really well, guys, moving forward. But I'd love to know from all of you, what are the top 5 things that you want to see in Lost Planet 4? And are they similar to what I want? Or are they completely different? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Lost Planet 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.